Hey guys, my name is Amy, and for my project, I want to do something related with education because I am an elementary ed major. So I want to take something that we learned in this class and make a lesson plan or do something with it so that way it'd be applicable to what I'm doing in the future. So I'm gonna go to the next. Okay, so my problem is how do you teach elementary students about electrical generation? So I kind of want to refine this statement of problem a little bit more, and like what grade exactly, and then possibly include a North Carolina standard in that. So just like including like a standard and like taking things from this class, but also applying it with an actual standard. And then so some of the questions that would be a part of this would be what is electricity? How can we make electricity? And those would be what I'd want my students to be able to answer after. So the deal method. So describe how you define the problem. I define this problem as a way to teach material that we have learned as college students to teach to elementary students and more specifically a certain grade. Explored all possible solutions. So I want to further research to see what material I want to cover on electrical generation. Right now, I kind of just have like the topic and a few ideas, but I really want to narrow down exactly what I want to cover and exactly what I want them to learn. Also, what independent and guided practice I would like to complete with the students. So basically, like the activities, I would like to do some kind of experiment. I feel like that'd be really fun to do and a great way to like have a visual representation. So an independent practice is something that a student would do on their own, but a guided practice something that you do together. So maybe like we do something as a class and then they apply what they learned in the guided practice to their independent practice. Acted on one solution. So I want to combine all of this research and everything I look up into one lesson plan. I would like to try this lesson and like experiment to like test it to see if it'd be effective. Because sometimes like you write all this stuff out and then you actually do it and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. And like people don't understand this. So maybe I'll try it out on my roommates or I can find some kids in elementary school to try it out on. But just somebody to see like who's never heard some of this stuff before and to try and experiment out actually to see if it even work. And then L looks back to evaluate your solution or how do you plan to do this. So once I finish the lesson plan and test on a group, I will evaluate how effective or ineffective this lesson was in teaching and engaging students in electrical generation. So it's really important that students like learn stuff, but also I want them to be engaged and excited and like find whatever it is they're learning interesting. So just seeing if it was effective in either one of those things or both. So the Gantt chart, I really struggled with this. I looked up a couple different Gantt charts and found like a website, and I linked the website down below of like how like of where I found it. And I kind of struggled putting the stuff in there. But basically I put in like all the dates and timelines of stuff that I was doing. But I looked over someone else, like a few other people's presentations and kind of saw how they did their Gantt charts. So I think I'm gonna change mine up now and make it more effective because I just didn't really understand it at first, but I put my best effort into it kind of. But I kind of just have like each state of what introduction, intermediate, final. And I want to go through and actually like more like personalize it now to like my projects instead of just like the basics of what we need, like of when I want to have like an experiment finalized by and like when I want my lesson plan to be completed by and stuff like that. So these are all of resources that I want to use or have used. So I have a lesson plan template that I used in a different class, and I'm just going to use that because it makes sense to me. And then I found an electrical generation website for kids, and I really found it interesting because it kind of just puts it in simple terms. They also linked helpful videos. So I'm just going to take a look at all that and see what exactly I want to use. Also, our electrical grid PowerPoint, and also just like other PowerPoints from the class probably I'll use within this. And then I found another website of possible experiments I can do. I'm just gonna look through that and see what I like best, what's actually like best geared toward whatever grade I choose. And then I linked below two different standards, science standards. So one of them is K through second, and the other one is third through fifth. And I think I just put both because I really don't know what grade exactly. I'm probably leaning towards like fourth or fifth grade on the older side, but we'll see. So this is my lesson plan template. I'm gonna have to adapt it just a little bit for this, but basically it's just like a good guideline, and I'm gonna use like fill this out completely, and this is what I'm gonna use for the lesson, and then I'll have more like resources within this, but it's just a great way to consolidate everything. So at the top, I have standards. The class I used for, we had 3 different types of standards, so I'll probably just consolidate that down to one. The objective is just like what they are learning, and then assessment is like how I will be assessing them. And then we have our focus, review slash engage. So basically just like the hook, what's gonna draw the students into this, whether that be like maybe like a video or a small little activity. And then beside it, next to all of them, you have like materials and time, so what I need for it and then how long it's going to take. And then we have like the actual like teaching part of it, so like what I want them to do today, the information, any of that. And then guided practicing we'll do as a class, and then independent they do by themselves. And that will probably be most of the experiment. And then closure is just kind of tying it all together at the end. So self-evaluation, I plan to accomplish a completed lesson plan and having students understand electrical generation through materials and experiments. So this is kind of like the objectives, like what I want each student to actually learn. Skills learned, lesson planning. I've only created a few lessons, so it's going to be really helpful to like continue building my skills at this as I head in to further down my major. And then planning experiments in the class. I've never done an experiment, or especially like planning it with a bunch of people. So it would be really fun to learn how to do that. And then affect future professional plans. Help me in the future with having more practice and creating lesson plans. Also having lesson plans to possibly use in my future classroom. Because if this is a good lesson plan, there's no reason that I couldn't use it one day in the future. So that is very exciting. And that is all I have. Thank you guys for listening.